Hello, 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 my fellow cultured tourists. Summer's just ended and you know what that means. Pack away your pools, throw those shorts away, and get that cocoa ready because the fall is finally here. But with the end of summer also comes the end of another season of anime. And can I take a moment to say that I cannot believe that it's already been a whole year since I started doing these seasonal anime award videos. Time really has been flying by and I cannot wait to see what the summer sun has cooked up for us this time around. Sora? Why does my intro just have a fox girl in it? Where are the rest of the anime I told you about?
Fox girls, fox girls, fox girls, fox girls!
Oh, he's completely gone off the deep end. That's what I get for not editing these intros. Before I go any further, I decided to spice up this award video with a little something extra. Near the end of the season, I created a massive poll that covers all the categories that we'll be looking at today, and I let you all vote on it. I was surprised to get over 50 responses. I was totally expecting less than 10. Now don't worry, the poll won't affect my nominations or who I ultimately give my personal award to, but after I give my award in each category, me or one of my co-hosts will read out the People's Choice Award winner so we can see how different our trash tastes truly are. And the kicker is, my co-hosts have no idea who you chose either, so the moment they read that part of the script is their genuine reaction. So now, without further ado, shall we start with Worst Anime. It is no stretch to say that this might have been one of the worst seasons of anime to come out in a long time, with the amount of mediocrity and garbage that came out of it. I'm gonna be real. Reign of the Seven Spellblades and Liar Liar are mostly here because neither of them are really my thing. Spellblades is basically Harry Potter but with some anime thrown into it, but I am just so uninterested in the fantasy school setting. The first episode was a drag for me personally, but I can see why people would like this. Oh, now we're on to the stinkers. These 4 nominations have been constantly tearing each other down for this #1 spot. Every time I think I have a winner, I just remember something even worse from another show and the cycle repeats itself.
Get your act together, Josh. Am I actually the strongest? Is peak fiction, bro.
Peak fiction? Really?
Fox girls, fox girls, fox girls,
Sora,
fox
what
girls,
are you on
fox
about?
Girls.
I've successfully changed shape into a human.
Fox girls, fox girls, fox girls, fox girls! These 3 nominations have been constantly tearing each other down for this #1 spot. Each one has an incredibly good reason to be here, but only one can be given the title of Worst Anime of Summer 2023. Worst Anime, Ayaka. There's really not that much to say about this one. I will give credit where credit is due though, no matter how small that might be. The opening 5 minutes of the show actually set up a fairly interesting premise with the destruction of the island with a quick glimpse of the power system of the world. Only for the rest of the episode to drag on like there's no tomorrow. But that's fine, it's fine, right? It's okay to have a slow start. Maybe the second episode would pick up the pace a little bit. Combine the slow pace with a wannabe edgelord MC, an obnoxious as hell best friend, and action scenes that look like they came out of a mid-budget hentai, and there's no wonder why this was an easy snub for the worst of the season. But let's see what you guys had to say about the worst anime of summer 2023. Since we're talking about absolute garbage here, I got the trash man himself to announce your winner, I guess? That's the only way to put it? That's right. He needs no introductions. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you, Giga! Oh, who am I kidding? I can't afford this guy. Let's have a big round of applause for Sora, guys.
So what? I just read the winner and that's it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Drum roll, please. Worst anime. Rent a Girlfriend Season 3. Hey, wait a minute. You know what? This wasn't so bad after all. I can totally agree with this.
Best Boy.
Got you. This is where you're weak, right?
Oh my God!
Oh, I can already hear the fangirls screaming. Like always, of course, we have the big boys in these nominations. Characters that have so much charm and charisma that it is almost impossible to ignore. There are boys who are the center of the story or have a strong foothold in it, so we're constantly reminded of their greatness, like Kiya Kakuto. He may have seemed like a cold, uncaring, and heartless man at first.
If I tell you to leave, then you will leave. If I say die, then die.
But in the end, he turned out to be a normal human being with the great power to sympathize with a cute girl. But I feel like a character who isn't getting enough love, other than actually, I love that guy, he's the best. Poor man is constantly going through it and deserves so much more. Is Soldat Heckler. The dude went from an ass to a real bro and it felt completely natural. But who am I kidding? We all know that the best boy of summer 2023 is... Best boy. Yukichi, the masterful cat, is depressed again today.
Aw, hell no. I knew you were a furry.
That's got nothing to do with this! Yukichi is literally the best homie you can ever ask for. Sure, he'll judge you a little bit, and he does have quite a bit of sass, but at the end of the day, he'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe, and most importantly, alive. And trust me, Fukuzawa does not make that part easy for him. Earlier we were talking about how to do a tsundere incorrectly, but Yukichi is a textbook definition of a tsundere done right. Just enough attitude to give him sass, but you know that he cares. He wears his feelings on his sleeves and he oh so wishes he didn't. I'm just glad to finally say that an actual good boy finally won Best Boy. Now let's see who you voted to be Best Boy of the...
Josh, Bungo Stray Dogs came out this season and you have the audacity not to make Akutagawa Best Boy? I mean, come on! He had so much character development this season, and I don't want to go into the spoilers, but oh my god. And another thing, what's the point of having an awards video when it's obvious that Bungo Stray Dogs is gonna win everything? Best baby girl? I mean, that's right. Best fantasy? I mean, there's vampires, and what's so fantastical about that? Best romance? I mean, obviously this is the greatest love story between, Best action, no-brainer, Josh! Best everything! Everything!
Can you at least read out the People's Choice while you're here?
Fine, but it's obviously going to be Akutagawa, so what's the point? Best... Wait... Kojo?
Is she gone yet? Oh, I'm just gonna stay here for a little bit longer.
You still want the breast milk or what?
How big are those titties, bitch? Horny aside, I really struggled to come up with who to give this award to. When it comes to the best boy and girl category, I tend to lean a little more into the romance and slice of life genre since a majority of the nominations are heavy contenders for best protagonist. But since this season was so dry in both departments, I've been scratching my head trying to come up with a winner here. You know what? Maybe I should try this whole touch grass thing out. Let me go see what my neighbor thinks of this. I'm never going outside again. Cecil is an adorable saint who is just pure serotonin. Nothing but pure thoughts here. I guess I have to talk about it, don't I? I guess Chizuru is cool, and Tsumi is still someone to protect at all costs. This creep somehow managed to bag another girl, and she's pretty fun, I guess. Mommy is still the baddest one. Okay, I get it, jeez. Am I forgetting something?
Hey, if you forgot it, it probably wasn't all that important.
Yeah, I guess.
Come on, there's gotta be someone I can give this award to. Sophia! I mean, I was totally thinking of Sophia. Alright, that's enough stalling. At this point, I've mentioned quite a few girls that have a good shot at this award, and some that have no right to be here, but you know, a Spooter's gotta do what a Spooter's gotta do. So in the end, I chose... Best Girl. Sakura Kono. Oh man, I forgot how much I liked this character. It has been so long since I saw Season 1, so going into Season 2, it was so nice to get to see the entire cast of Horimiya again, especially Sakura. When it comes to love triangles or any form of harem plot, I always accidentally tend to lean towards the person that's never gonna win. God damn it, Rem, I know you're gonna find happiness one day. And let me just tell you, watching Horimiya Season 1, it hurt to watch Sakura get rejected. But now with all the extra context of Season 2, I know on a rewatch it is going to hurt even more. And by rewatch, I mean read the manga. We get to see so much more of her character. It's not just about the romance here, it is about who Sakura is in general. She gets multiple episodes to shine by herself, my favorites being the cooking one and the manga one.
I do have a singular reprieve. And that's reading manga. The highlight of my whole week.
Oh, she's so real! Now it's time to reveal who you chose to be best girl. You cannot imagine my surprise when I was scrolling through the poll results to find that Shizuka won. You're telling me that in a season with every Rent-A-Girlfriend girl on full display, in a season with the previous Crunchyroll waifu of the year, in a season with Horimiya, Shizuka won by a landslide! Alright, I'll admit, Hori was like one vote away from making this a tie, but it's more dramatic if I say it that way. I'm just so proud that you guys didn't choose Chizuru. I thought for sure that she was going to be an easy pick because, well, I don't know, people hate Rent-A-Girlfriend but love Chizuru for some reason, but honestly, I get the Shizuka hype. Her introduction alone gives her a strong edge over the rest of the nominees.
Please, you have to crush me.
I can see that there's a lot of potential for her character and why you would all vote for her. She's strong-willed, kick-ass, and cute as hell. Honestly, she probably would have won Best Girl for me too if the dub of Zom was caught up. But alas, it's time we move on from characters and set our sight on some genres. Starting with
Best Isekai and Fantasy.
Okay, you know it's bad when the vending machine anime is better than 80% of the options here. And that is no joke. Isekai this season once again has been a massive letdown, mostly due to the oversaturation of it. If I had a nickel for every Isekai this season I'm watching about a reincarnated salaryman that features a blue-haired bunny girl, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. We have another villainous anime this season, so if that's your thing, have at it. Honestly, when it comes to Isekai, Reincarnated as a Vending Machine is one of the best ones to come out this entire year. Well, that would be true if it weren't for
Best Isekai. Mushoku Tensei Season 2.
This shit slaps! Until this season, I had never seen a single episode of Mushoku Tensei. All that I knew was that Rudius was supposed to be this perverted little shit. So you can imagine my surprise with just how invested I not only got into the world, but the characters too. I binged the shit out of Season 1 and Season 2 delivers on the characters even more than its predecessor. Now, Mushoku Tensei isn't something that I would recommend to everyone. Rudius can be a lot and is a lot, and I totally understand the hate that goes towards him. But watching him grow is fascinating. While Season 1 was this grand adventure across a big part of the world, Season 2 slows down heavily. With less focus on adventure, this season puts all of its eggs in Rudius' basket, taking on some fairly mature subject matter that would be easy to have turned into a joke. But it treats it in such a respectable way, making it a focal point of the plot. For an isekai anime to pull something like this off without making a joke out of it or giving a magical solution to the problem, I'm actually really impressed. Now we move on to Best Fantasy. This might be one of the most diverse lineups I've seen in a while. One is a dynamic horror with flares of mystery, while the other is a detective whodunit with moments of action. With Ryza, we follow a small group of people and their adventures in their town, and Helk is just one gigantic tournament arc. Even One Room Hero has this new spin on the classic isekai fantasy trope with having the real world know about the demon fantasy one. Of all these choices, who was the one to come out on top?
Best Fantasy. Undead Murder Farce.
Probably the biggest surprise of the season, Undead Murder Farce went from having a slightly underwhelming first episode to being one of my most enjoyed shows of the many that I watched. The show was broken up into several mysteries, each of which takes 3 to 4 episodes to solve with an underlying mystery connecting everything together. Who stole Aya's body? That's right, our main detective is a literal head. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that there are monsters up in this bitch? From vampires to werewolves, we get to see a lot of familiar types of monsters as well as some famous staples of 19th century literature. While the mysteries might not have been the most complex things in fiction, nevertheless, this series was a blast to watch through. But before we move on to Best Romance, I'm bringing back the garbage man himself to announce your choice for the best isekai in fantasy of the season.
The winner is Masuko Sensei. Fuck.
I'm gonna keep that. That's gonna be the
Best Romance.
Usually I'd say this for isekai, but romance was the weakest genre this season by far. Some shows that I was hoping would be bangers turned out to be the biggest personal disappointments of the season. Barring the very odd animation choice for this show, which, I'm gonna be honest, they more or less disappear after the first episode, the girl I like forgot her glasses is one of the biggest disappointments that hurts the most. I'm all for mushy slice of life rom-coms, but my god is the main protagonist of this show unbearable. This guy acts like it's the first time he's ever interacted with a girl every time she's within a 50-meter radius of him.
After weighing the options, we've decided you'll repay us with your body.
It's not fair. It should have been me, god damn it. I did not have my hopes too high for this one, mostly because when I saw the poster and description on Anime Planet, I literally thought this was a hentai. The first episode was okay, but it didn't really have the feel I was hoping it would have. A lot of characters are thrown into your face right off the bat along with a lot of plot. And I mean, plot. I'm kind of interested in checking out the manga mostly for the art, but I'm not really interested to tune into the rest of the anime. I think now is as good a time as any to reveal my winner here before I spoil it via process of elimination. So without further ado, the award for Best Romance goes to...
Best Romance. Rent-a-Girlfriend, Season 3.
I know, I get it. I'm just as surprised as you. But manga readers be damned. They said that this season would be peak, and I have to admit, I had to take back everything I said about this show. There was a surprisingly emotional angle to Rent-a-Girlfriend this time around, and this season had the balls to develop Kazuya into a respectable character who's actually grown a lot, and he's finally learned the true meaning of what it means to be a decent person. I can't do this anymore. Of course Rent-a-Girlfriend didn't win. Do you think I actually watched this shit? Sure, word of mouth says this is going to be the last good season, but why would I ever waste my time when I know how much of a dumpster fire this thing's going to become? The real winner of the season is Masamune-kun's Revenge. I'm not joking.
Best Romance. Masamune-kun's Revenge, Season 2.
Though for being fair, we all know that Mushoku Tensei is the best romance this season. Okay, being 100% serious, I did not think this trashy harem from 2017 would win, but god damn was I invested. Starting fresh off the heels of Season 1, Season 2 finds Masamune and Aki in Paris along with the rest of their class for a brief change in scenery. There were some insane plot twists that had no need to be there, but damn did it make the story way more entertaining than it had any right to be. This was a roller coaster of a romance that surprisingly actually developed the relationship between the two characters in a way that I was not expecting based off of what we got in Season 1.
Yum! Here, open wide and take a bite, Pookie!
Was it good? Yeah, it depends on the viewer. This is your typical trashy rom-com, but it was a fun ride nonetheless. I don't think I could recommend this to someone unless I knew that this was their thing, but at the very least, I had fun with it.
So are you just telling me there wasn't any other romances this season?
Well, Sora, why don't you open the metaphorical envelope and find out?
The People's Choice Awards. And for the winner of this segment, Hermione... What the fuck? No, this is rigged.
Best Action.
Finally, action has a place to shine. It has been long overdue for us to have a solid lineup of shonen action, and this season delivered. Bleach, Jujutsu Kaisen, Link Click, Baki, and Bungo Stray Dogs all make their return stronger than ever. Even the newcomers like Zom were a pleasant surprise when compared to these juggernauts of a franchise. But between everything else we got, it was hard to choose which show deserved this award. It was a toss-up between a lot of them, and just looking at the choreography wasn't going to be enough this time around. we have to go into a deep dive of the animation, the story, the pacing, and the fights, and in the end, I still didn't know what to choose. We were truly spoiled with action this season, but when it comes down to it, the show I had the most fun with has to be
Best Action. Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead.
Personal bias aside, Jujutsu Kaisen was incredibly close to taking the cake for this one. I would be a fool not to admit that Studio Mappa has brought their absolute A game this season and giving us an incredible improvement to a show that you could argue didn't need it to begin with. The style is much more cinematic this time around, the fights are brutal and the choreography is on point. There's just one little thing. I don't really care all that much about the story. Hey, remember this is my awards. I'm allowed to say what I want, I think. But when it comes to Zom 100, oh my god! Right off the bat, Bug Films wants you to know that they mean business. You can tell that they poured their hearts, souls, and absolute hatred they had working for their previous employers into the very first episode. The pacing, the fluid movements, voice acting, premise, everything about this first episode screams passion to the point of movie quality. This show has so much fun playing with its animation. I mean, look at this! He literally grabs the cinematic bars to shatter them over his head to symbolize his freedom. That's so cool! If there was one action anime I'd recommend you watch this season, it's Zom 100 Zero Diff.
Wow! Calling Jujutsu Kaisen mid is wild, Josh. That's fucking wild.
But zombies!
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we have to go with the viewers for this one. Best action, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. That's fucking right. Exactly. Look at that fucking poll. Look at you. You're a fucking hater, okay? You're just a hater.
I'm not a hater, it's just mid.
Nigga, my brother told me how to taste the bag.
Best ED.
From Sayoki Sakiyama's Akira to Fumizeka's Delicious Taste, this season had a lot of mellow, chill songs to choose from. Akira Kito's Guru Guru Live doesn't just carry out that fast-paced, wholesome energy that you expect from Tanakawa, but it also delivers some fun and unique visuals to make it stand out against the competition. The wishy-washy art style for Kashiyota Ito's Vita Philosophica is always a nice cooldown after a rage-inducing episode of My Happy Marriage, and Ami Sakaguchi's URL was always a good way to sign off the day after a midnight watch of Horimiya. And don't get me started on the visual delight that is Smile Princess's Fakey Mary game. I may have written off Liar Liar, but the visuals and upbeat tone of this song hit the serotonin right on the spot. While there were some vibes this season, we also had some straight up bangers. So let's take a look at the top 3 ending songs of the season, shall we?
Number 3. Sajo no Hana by New Suns, Spy Classroom Part 2.
I'll be the first to admit that Spy Classroom Season 1 was below underwhelming. It even got a top nomination for Worst Anime when it came out. But this outro is absolute fire. Tanakawa almost edged this one out, but from the song to the visuals showing off the talents and quirks of each girl in such a unique art style, it would have been a disservice to not give this ED the attention it deserves.
Number 2. Happiness of the Dead by Shiyu, Zom 100.
It can't get much better than this. When the apocalypse comes out, I hope I have the mindset that this song brings me. Not only do the flashy colors perfectly capture the essence of Zom 100, but with its brief time, Happiness of the Dead tells Shizuka's story, going from a worried survivor who's drowning due to her only goal being to stay alive to someone who's found life within the bounds of the apocalypse with other survivors. Seeing these characters continue to have a blast when the credits roll put a giant smile on my face, especially when they break out the scrapbook.
Best ED. The Tides by Fanka and Jaws, Link Click Season 2.
When this song starts, you cannot tell me you don't feel like the coolest person in the room. Every time they started to play this song, just before the credits actually started to roll, a mix of hype, goosebumps, dread, and frustration always swirled inside of me. The show drove the nail in perfectly to leave you on the edge of your seat every time the Tides teased you with a cliffhanger. And I mean, they did this with every episode. Starting it off with a mysterious atmosphere that goes along perfectly with the detective-esque visuals, only to give us a beautiful serenade with lyrics that could be potentially devastating foreshadowing. Now when it comes to your guys' favorite ending of the season, I am not surprised to see that Shiyua's Happiness of the Dead took the cake with nearly a third of the votes going toward it. For the previous reasons that I mentioned, this was such a blast of an ending, and it is so freeing to see that these characters finally find their happiness when the world comes to an end.
Best OP.
From the slower paced melodies to the absolute fun explosions on your screen, there were way too many openings to talk about this season. I swear the worst shows always get the best songs. Sweet Reincarnation, The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses, The Great Cleric, My Unique Skill, and Liar Liar all have openings that are way too good for the shows that they're attached to. The visuals for My Happy Marriage are damn near movie quality with vocals by Riria that bang the heart, giving it a sort of nostalgic vibe. And what can I say about Jujutsu Kaisen, Zom 100, and Link Click? I give mad respect to JJK for giving us 2 openings, even if they only used the first one for 5 episodes. Both fit their arcs really well, and it would have been way out of place if they stuck with one for the entire season. But enough talk, let's reveal the top 3, shall we?
Number 3. Lies Goes On by Maine. Liar Liar.
It is not fair that such a bop goes to such a mid-show. From the electric vocals to the fast-paced lyrics, Lies Go On is the perfect song that will absolutely trick you into reconsidering your thoughts on Liar Liar. This is the song you blast when you're handed the aux. If you want to have a good time, Maine knows how to give it to you.
Number 2. Song of the Dead by Kana Boone. Zom 100.
The animation is so silky smooth, and each scene blends right into the next one, making for a perfectly paced opening where you don't even notice the time going by. From the effortless fluidity between Akira and Kenichiro, to the small bit of character development that Shizuku goes through as she tries to hide away only to ultimately join the dance, to whatever the heck Beatrice is doing, there's only one other song this season that could have possibly topped Kana Boone's absolute banger.
Best Opening. Vortex by Baisha Jaws. Link Click, Season 2.
Step aside, Oshinoko, we have a new opening of the year. Everything, and I mean everything about Vortex is an absolute masterpiece. From the thematic lyrics that I really hope aren't foreshadowing anything, to the absolute gorgeous visuals of Chang getting tossed around in the vortex at his time, I cannot think of a better opening this season or year that perfectly encapsulates the essence of the series that it's tied to. It calls back to the most important aspects of the last season to make sure we'll never forget the journey and trauma that Lu and Chang have been through, only for it to escalate the stakes in such a visually bombastic way. And I haven't even touched on the best part of the song yet. I cannot get enough when the entire thing plays in reverse, lyrics, visuals, and all, and the song ends exactly where it started. And as the episodes go on, the beginning part of the song and its visuals become devastatingly clear. Hands down the best opening of the year by far. So let's see how my picks compare to your guys' favorite openings of the season. And the winner of the audience choice goes to Mushoku Tensei Season 2? Okay, I will admit that after reading the lyrics of Spiral, I can totally see why you guys voted for this song as your number 1. Longman's song tells the story of Rudy's doubt that he can grow into a different person. It's a really beautiful song, and it's definitely in my top 5 of the season.
Best Original Soundtrack.
With so many sequels coming out this season, we also have the return of their composers. If you like the soundtracks of the first seasons of Jujutsu Kaisen, Horimiya, Link Click, and Mushoku Tensei, their respective composers bring back their A game for each, delivering a soundtrack that is equally as good or even surpasses their previous work. Akiyuki Tateyama played with a gentle piano and vocals that delivered a beautiful, serene score for My Happy Marriage. On the other side of those serene pianos was Koto Yamamoto's eerily creepy score for The Dark Gathering. Zom 100 also came out of nowhere with music composed by Makoto Mizaki that perfectly elevates every scene that it's in, with Finally Free being one of my favorite scores of this season. But is that enough for Zom to get the win? There's only one way to find out.
Best Original Soundtrack. Yuma Yamaguchi, Kento Atari, Kana Inukai, and much, much more. Link Click Season 2.
Another well-deserved dub for Link Click. But I can't lie, the evolution of this soundtrack is absolutely amazing. From the research that I can find, and I really have to thank Reddit for this one, it doesn't look like there is just one composer or artist to shout out for this season's music. We're looking at more of an album than your typical soundtrack. And let me tell you, it is chock full of intense and thrilling music that builds upon the darker tones set by the end of Season 1. There are also a ton of vocal tracks this time around too, either hyping the scenes they're playing behind or ready to give you an emotional gut punch when you're already down. I already loved Link Click, but the soundtrack immersed me more than I could ever imagine thanks to the incredible job done by all the artists involved. Now, taking a look at the audience choice, I am not surprised in the slightest to see Mushoku Tensei take such a lead. When it comes to fantasy scores this season, Yoshiaki Fujisawa made the best one by far. He truly captured an incredible fantasy vibe, but in the end, I've gotta give it to Link Click for delivering such an incredible arrangement of all types of music.
Best Antagonist.
Listen, Rudy. Women like our strength, but sometimes it's important to show them our softer aspects as well.
Oh, it didn't work. Removing the joke answers, we're left with 5 antagonist figures to dive into, and even with these 5, there's not much to talk about. While they might be rage-inducing, the family from My Happy Marriage isn't really that deep. They're on par with your typical demons or NPC bad guys. You hate them because they're evil, but that's about it. Speaking about pure evil, we move on to Jujutsu Kaisen, and I gotta admit, Toji was much more intimidating than I thought he would be. But when we move on to the villains that we'll be having for the rest of the season, I gotta say, they ain't much. Jujutsu Kaisen kinda falls under the Demon Slayer category when it comes to their villains. Awesome powers, cool designs, but they just want to destroy everything because that's what they do. It can be cool in the moment, but when considering best antagonist of the season, there's not much really to dig into. Will society finally get a dub this season, or will it be snatched up by something even more ruthless? Let's take a look, shall we?
Best Antagonist. Kane Jin and the Red Eyes. Link Click, Season 2.
Here are the biggest menaces of the season, and they are putting the protagonist through the ringer. I can't say too much about these guys without going into spoilers, so all I'll say is that whenever you think you're safe, they know exactly when to come. There's layers to them that the story takes its time to peel back, giving you just enough to make you question what they're really doing. The fear that they bring to our heroes is terrifying. They could truly care less as to who they have to mow down to get what they want. But when it comes to your guys' vote for villain of the season, I decided to bring back the most devious man I know. That's right, Kenny, take the stage.
Without further ado, we shall reveal the best antagonist. Oh, it's a tie. Toji Fushiguro. Amazing. Yes, he literally just changed the whole series by fucking up 2 of the strongest characters, turning one of them evil. Man, like, without him, this show wouldn't have been set into motion. Bro's a hero. But, I mean, he's a villain too, but he's my hero. He's my hero. There's one more, and it's from a show I haven't watched yet because Rudius, little guy. Now, I don't know who that is exactly, but if it's a tie along with the other 3 that I've just read, Sukuna, Toji, and Mahito, this guy must be an absolute mad lad, devious fiend. Do you mind explaining a little more?
This is erectile dysfunction.
Okay, yeah, that's a true villain.
Best Protagonist.
On the flip side of the menaces, we have the heroes of our stories. Those that we look up to in the sky. Those that inspire us to be the best that we can be. Or maybe not. From elite spies to broken daughters, we are in no short supply of protagonists this season. Gojo really stepped up in the shonen corner in part 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen, proving that he should have been the protagonist of the series from the very get-go. Sadly, all great things must come to an end, and Yuji ended up taking the baton away from him at the beginning of part 2, sealing away any further potential this season that we might have had with Gojo. But I've gotta say, I would not have enjoyed this season half as much as I did thanks to our goofy little guy. Ow! The Link Click duo returns to solve an ever so engrossing mystery as they fight tooth and nail to keep their heads above the water. If only there was a detective trio that they could call to make things easier for them. So in the end, was it our solo players who ended up taking the cake, or was it a team effort?
Best Protagonist. Akira Tendo, Zom 100.
The first episode paints such a tragic picture of this guy's life, it is hard not to root for Akira. And as I watched him run through the streets in a state of absolute bliss as he's finally broken free from the chains of society, it's even harder not to love him. We're able to see the zombie apocalypse through such a unique lens because of what he's been through. Akira is not trying to prolong his life. He's trying to do everything he ever wanted to do before he finally croaks. And the best part about Akira's character is that he inspires those around him to do the same. He's an infectious character who has no idea what he's doing, but he's having the time of his life as he learns what it's like to live again. Looking at your votes, we had another tie for this category, but this time we're swapping out JJK for Zom 100. That's right, you guys voted Akira and Rudius for this season's best protagonist.
Best Anime of Summer 2023.
We finally come to the one that you've all been waiting for, and after cutting out all of the fluff, this season had some absolute bangers to offer. From mysteries to thrilling action to wholesome slice of life and wild fantasy, this is a diverse list of the best of the best. But there can only be one winner.
Anime of the Season and Most Underrated. Link Click Season 2.
You know, when the season started, I had a fairly decent idea of what shows I was going to enjoy. I knew I was going to like Zom, Mushoku Tensei, and Horimiya, but I could not have seen just how much I was going to absolutely love Link Click. Season 1 was already incredible, but I was not prepared for how much of an astronomical step forward Season 2 would be. For the most part, Season 1 was split into little arcs. Some of these arcs would consist of more episodes than others, and by the end, every arc we had seen up until that point played a part in the finale. But Season 2 threw that format completely out the window and goes all in on the mystery of who the Red Eyes really are. Each episode leaves you at the edge of your seat. I already mentioned this part in the OP and ED segment, but there are some tragic foreshadowing and theories that are already in the works from episode 1. You never know what's going to happen or who's involved, but when you hear the notes of that ending, you dread having to wait an extra week to get one more piece of that puzzle. It wasn't just the writing and story that saw an improvement either. There are multiple fight scenes in this season that are choreographed way too good. Like, I was satisfied with the brief pieces of actions we had in Season 1, but Season 2 goes all in. This mystery thriller had some better hands than most actual shonen this season. Link Click already felt cinematic, but now you see why. Everything was building to this exact story. Every character is firing on all cylinders for one of the best rides you'll have of the year. This series deserves so much more love and attention, and I hope it gets it as time goes on. Now, I am sure you all want to know who won the viewer vote for Best Anime and Most Underrated. So for one last time, I bring Kenny to the stage.
Ha! Suck it, Sora. You may have had more lines, but I get to reveal the most important reward. Ha ha! Let's see. The anime of the season. And that is Jujutsu What? Mushoku mid? But Jujutsu Kaisen is so peak. Who even watches Mushoku Tensei?
Hey lads, I hope you all enjoyed that video. To be fair, this season was pretty disappointing for me. Other than a few standouts, there was a ton of fluff that I dropped throughout the months. A lot of the shows that I thought would be right up my alley ended up being the most disappointing of all of them. And I found that I had fallen out of love with a few shows between seasons. Since I didn't think I would have that much to talk about for this video, I decided to spice things up and opened up a gigantic poll for anyone to participate in. I was so happy to see that I got so many responses because I've been wanting to do this viewer participation thing for a while now, and this was really encouraging. Before I go, of course, I'm going to let you know my top 5 recommendations of the season in case you're still on the fence of what to watch. If it wasn't obvious, number 1 is definitely Link Click. If you haven't watched the first season, then it is time to catch up. I promise you, you are not going to notice how many episodes fly by as you binge this absolute masterpiece. Zom 100 is a close second for my number 2 choice of the season. From wacky characters to bright colors and a unique take on a drawn-out setting, this show hits every spot that it needs to. At number 3, you might be surprised to see Undead Murder Farce. This was my biggest surprise of the season. I love a good detective show, and this one had so much fun with its setting and characters. How could I go so long without mentioning Mushoku Tensei? This was already one of my favorite isekais simply due to the fact that it's more of a character study than anything else. At number 5, we finally have a little romance to spice up this action isekai sausage fest. That's why Horimiya is the 5th and final recommendation I have for this season. There were a couple of other shows worth watching this season, mostly just The Masterful Cat is Oppressed Again Today and Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. But hey, why don't you leave your top 5 down below? This video was also unexpectedly very long. Yes, I mean longer than it is already now. So if you want to see the tourist cut, be sure to check out the link down below for Patreon only. There were some segments in this video that I had to cut for time, as well as some incredibly fun discussions that I had with my co-hosts over what you guys chose in the People's Choice Awards. So if you want to see some bloopers or you want to see some cut jokes, be sure to check out the Patreon cut down below, and it'll only cost you $1. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to subscribe so you do not miss the Fall 2023 awards this Christmas. This fall season, it looks like romance fans are going to be eating good, and you can bet I'm going to be cuddled up drinking some cocoa watching some good old anime. So until then, stay warm as the sun sets earlier, and bye-bye lads.